Reborn back in 1976, I was just about to push my sister-in-law into the hands of two old bachelors. They pulled out 50 yuan and said with a grin that this girl had wide hips and could bear sons. In my previous life, I really took the money, but when I got home, I found my pregnant wife hanging from the beam, her body already cold. In this life, I snatched the homemade gun and pressed it against the other man's forehead. Get lost. I'm not selling her anymore. When I opened my eyes, I heard tearful pleas in my ear. Brother-in-law, don't do this. I'm still a virgin. Please let me go. My head buzzed, and my vision slowly came into focus. Standing before me was a girl about 1.6 meters tall, delicate-featured, pale-faced, and thinly dressed. Her eyes brimming with tears as she looked at me pitifully. Beside her stood two men, one old and one young, sizing her up. This girl's really pretty. Wide hips too. She'll definitely bear a boy. 50 yuan, what a bargain. I jolted violently and grabbed the man next to me by the collar. What year and what day is it now? October 8th, 1976, cold dew. The man was startled by me. Bro, still half asleep? October 8th, 1976. My heart skipped a beat. This was the day in my previous life when I sold my sister-in-law, Su Qinglian. It was also the day my wife, Su Qingyue, hanged herself. I'm not selling her. You two can leave. I yanked Su Qinglian behind me. The two men refused to let it go. The middle-aged man glared. At last night's card game, all 5 10 yuan notes were counted to the winner. And now you want to back out? The young man beside him pulled out a knife and viciously lunged at me. I turned sideways and grabbed his wrist, twisting hard. The knife hit the ground with a clang. Then I drove my knee into his stomach, and the punk collapsed to the ground, unable to get up. Don't move. The middle-aged man pulled out a homemade hunting gun and pressed it against my forehead. Hand her over, or I'll blow your head off. Looking at the dark muzzle, I laughed instead. Go ahead then. Pull the trigger. Dare to? My taunting made him tremble all over, and his finger unconsciously tightened on the trigger. A moment before he fired, I had already grabbed the barrel and shoved it to the side. With a bang, the shot exploded right by my ear. I lifted my foot and kicked him flying 3 meters away. The gun was in my hands now. Two cowards, and you dare traffic people? I dug at my ears, still ringing from the blast. Come get the 50 yuan in a month. Now get lost. The two of them ran off in a panic. Su Qinglian stared at me blankly, her voice trembling. Brother-in-law, you're not selling me anymore? I looked into her eyes, my mind filled with scenes from my previous life. After selling Qinglian, I returned home to find Qingyue hanging from the beam, 3 months pregnant. In the capital, I rose from being a lowly security guard to a big boss, but I never remarried, living my whole life with guilt toward her. At death's door, I had only one thought. If I could do it over again, I would repay her for the hurt I caused her 100-fold. And now I really was back. Little sister, walk slowly. I'm heading home first. Throwing out those words, I took off running toward home. My heart felt like it was about to leap out all the way there. At the village entrance, I ran into a few hoodlums I usually played cards with. Lungzi blocked me with a grin. Changhai, coming to my place tonight for cards? You've already sold your sister-in-law, so if you lose tonight, why not lose your wife to me too? I answered with a heavy punch straight to his face, then jammed the homemade hunting gun against him. Keep running your mouth, and I'll blow your head off right now. Lungzi was so scared he nearly pissed himself. The moment I kicked open the front door, I saw the scene I least wanted to see in this life. A rope hung from the beam, and Su Qingyue had just kicked over the stool beneath her feet. I rushed up and pulled her down. She curled up like a frightened little animal, trembling all over. Don't hit me. I know I was wrong. Her face and body were covered in bruises. My nose stung, and I held her tightly. Honey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I won't hit you again. I'll treat you well from now on. Su Qingyue said nothing, a bitter smile at the corner of her mouth. I knew she didn't believe me. I said this every time after I sobered up, but when had I ever changed? You sold little sister, and now you come back to comfort me? Tears streamed down her face. Am I not even allowed to die? I brought little sister back. Before I could finish, Su Qinglian ran in. When she saw the rope hanging from the beam, she let out a wail. Sis, how could you be so foolish? Su Qingyue froze. She looked at her little sister, then at me, her eyes full of confusion. Looking at this drafty, bare-bones house, I said seriously, I will give you two a good life. Enough food to fill your bellies, cotton clothes to wear, and make everyone in all the nearby villages envy you. Su Qingyue said nothing. All she asked was that I not hit her or hurt her little sister. My stomach growled. I went into the kitchen and looked at the nearly empty corn grits. Rolling up my sleeves, I made a pot of corn mush so thick it was like paste. Su Qingyue looked at the porridge in the bowl, her whole body trembling. That's 3 days worth of food for the family. And you stewed it all in one pot? I remembered then. Of the 5 gene of corn grits borrowed from second sister's family yesterday. For gene 8 Liang had been taken by me to settle a gambling debt at the card table. And this little bit was only left because Qingwei got a savage beating. It's fine. Tonight we'll eat meat. And tomorrow I'll go return second sister's family's grain. I said with a smile. Tears welled up in Su Qingyue's eyes again. Su Qinglian, on the other hand, didn't stand on ceremony and picked up the bowl and wolfed it down. She was starving. I only drank less than half a bowl and left the rest for them. After eating, I dug out the fish traps, hand hoe, and deerbone digging stick I used when I was little, slung the homemade shotgun and long knife on my back, called out to Qingwei, and headed into the southwestern mountains. To the southwest of Nada Mountain Village lay vast mountains stretching for thousands of li. I remembered that less than a month after Qingwei died in my previous life, the commune held a hunting competition, and the militia company found several wild mountain ginseng deep in the mountains. They hired people to carry the ginseng out, paying 1 yuan per root. I helped dig up 5 roots back then, and only after saving enough travel money did I go to Shangjing. After walking for more than 3 hours, it was nearly noon when I finally found the coniferous forest from my memory. There was a stream nearby, and in October the frogs and crayfish were at their fattest. I dug up 40 or 50 Marian worms and stuffed them into 3 fish traps, placed them in the shade, and started looking for that wild mountain ginseng. After searching for more than an hour, a cluster of kidney-shaped red berries appeared before my eyes. 4 whorls of leaves. The main stem had 4 tiers of leaves, each tier with 4 forks, at least 50 years of growth. Wild mountain ginseng is extremely picky about altitude, slope, temperature, and humidity. And for it to reach this age, it was simply a treasure. I took several deep breaths and carefully dug with the deerbone digging stick about 30 centimeters away from the ginseng stem. This wasn't work to be rushed. Even breaking off a single rootlet would greatly reduce its value. After 5 hours of digging with my butt in the air, as the sun slanted westward, a whole ginseng root finally came out of the ground. The main root was plump and sturdy, its skin yellowish-brown and glossy, the rootlets long and tough, and the scent of ginseng hit the nose. I wrapped it in damp moss, covered it with birch bark, and tucked it inside my clothes. Collecting the fish traps made me even happier. There were more than 70 crayfish and over 30 frogs in the 3 traps, each one big and fat. On the way down the mountain, I also ran into some pheasants returning to their roost. I crouched off to the side. The homemade shotgun had 2 bullets left. At a distance of 5 meters, a faint clucking came from the grass. I held my breath, aimed, and pulled the trigger. Bang! I rushed over to take a look and saw a small hen pheasant, nearly 3 gene, fat and plump. Now I can help my wife build up her strength. By the time I hurried home, it was completely dark. From far away I saw flashlight beams swaying back and forth, along with a woman's screams. My heart tightened, and I quickened my pace. Let me go? Sis, Qinglian. It was Su Qingyue's voice. Sister-in-law, you can't do this. The moment I rushed into the yard, I saw Su Qingyue collapsed on the ground, while a lame young man was dragging Su Qinglian toward the house. Sister-in-law Zhou Wenlan was blocking Su Qingyue and even said with a smile, let the 2 of them consummate it tonight, and tomorrow he can take her home to live with him directly. Ah, my stomach. Su Qingyue suddenly let out a miserable scream, her whole body curling up. Zhou Wenlan still stood there unconcerned. The 3rd brother beats you all the time, and I never hear you cry out. So what are you pretending for with me? I went up and slapped Zhou Wenlan across the face, sending her spinning in place twice. Wife. I crouched down, and the flashlight shone on Su Qingyue's lower body, a patch of vivid red. She disturbed the fetus. Little sister, little sister. Su Qingyue weakly pointed inside the house. I charged into the room, grabbed the lame young man by the collar, and hurled his 150 to 160 gene body straight. Su Qinglian's outer clothes had been torn, but fortunately, she had struggled so fiercely that the beast hadn't gotten his way. That brat scrambled up and picked up a brick, trying to hit me. I reversed my grip on the homemade shotgun and smashed the gunstock hard into his arm, making the brick fly from his hand instantly. Then I struck him several more times with the gunstock, beating him until his head was bloodied and he howled as he ran off. Zhou Wenlan was so frightened her face turned pale. Su Qinglian pointed at her and screamed, brother-in-law, she pushed my sister. It was her own fault. Zhou Wenlan stammered. I had no time to argue with her. So I picked up Su Qingyue and ran toward old Lu's house at the entrance of the village. When I kicked open his front gate, the whole family was eating. Old Lu was clutching a cornbread bun in his hand, and frowned the moment he saw me like this. Changhai, after 7 o'clock this old man doesn't see patience. Rules are dead. People are alive. I was sweating with anxiety. My wife is 3 months pregnant and fell down. She's bleeding below. Sir, save her. Dad, don't bother with him. What can his family use to pay the medical fees? Old Lou's daughter muttered softly beside him. I panicked and smashed my fist onto the dining table, cracking the tabletop with a snap. A human life is at stake. I'll pay you double within 3 days. Consider it that I owe you my life. Old Lou was so startled that even the cornbread bun fell from his hand. He quickly had us lay her on the bed and began feeling her pulse. Su Qinglian and I stared at him nervously, hardly daring to breathe. Only after a full several minutes did old Lou finally let out a sigh of relief. Her constitution is pretty good. It's only a mild case of fetal unrest. I'll give her a few acupuncture needles first, then prescribe 10 doses of Chinese medicine, 1 dose a day. In 7 days, she'll be able to get out of bed, and in 10 days, she'll be fine. My heart, which had been hanging in suspense, finally settled. As the silver needles went in, old Lou added, "During this time, it's best to stew some chicken soup for her, and have her eat more meat to nourish herself. Her body is badly depleted, and she has bruises in many places. If she's not properly cared for, it's hard to say whether the child can be kept." I stood there, wishing I could slap myself a few times on the spot. In my previous life, I only found out she was pregnant after she was gone. Luckily, when I used to beat her, I never hit her stomach. Otherwise, this prescription is still missing ginseng. Adding 1 thin ginseng whisker to each dose can produce a great effect. Unfortunately, I don't have any here. I touched the wild ginseng in my chest and said nothing. This thing is the capital for building a fortune, but when it's time to use it, what does 1 ginseng whisker amount to? After the acupuncture was done, I carried Su Qingwei on my back and headed home. Su Qinglian followed behind, holding the 10 packets of Chinese medicinal herbs. Back home, I gently laid Su Qingwei on the bed, then turned and instructed Su Qinglian. "Little sis, go boil a big pot of hot water right away. Use half to clean your sister up, and I'll stew a chicken with the other half for us to eat tonight." As soon as I finished speaking, I pulled that fat, big wild pheasant out of the sack. In that instant, Su Qingwei and her sister were completely stunned. Su Qinglian even cried out involuntarily, "What a fat chicken, brother-in-law, did you?" Living off the mountains, there are hunters in the village too, but they don't catch something every day, so they can only have a meat feast once in a while. But Li Changhai had only gone out for 1 day and brought back such a fat wild chicken. If he said he hunted it, a good-for-nothing loafer who lazes around and loves to eat, and no one had ever heard before that he knew how to hunt. Could he have snatched it from some other hunter? I spent the whole day in the mountains today. Besides this wild chicken, I also got a lot of crayfish and forest frogs. Tonight we'll just eat the wild chicken, and tomorrow we'll eat those too. Li Changhai said casually, "Hurry up and boil the water. Do you still want to eat chicken or not?" Su Qinglian gave Li Changhai a timid glance. Judging by how he used to be, there was no way she'd actually get to eat any delicious chicken. But her sister still needed to be cleaned down there. So she could only take one more look at the wild pheasant before going off unhappily to boil the water. "I'll go decoct the medicine after I finish preparing the chicken. And after you eat, don't forget to drink the medicine before bed," Li Changhai said softly. "Tomorrow I'm going to my elder brother's house. This matter won't end just like this." "How did you know I was pregnant?" Su Qingwei suddenly asked. "I didn't even know myself. I can't really explain it either. It was like I suddenly just knew." Li Changhai scratched his head, made up an excuse at random, and went out. Su Qingwei was terrified inside. Could he be thinking of selling the child the moment it was born? The reason he didn't sell little sis might be so she could take care of me. And once the child is born, he'd sell both mother and child together. At this thought, a chill rose in Su Qingyue's heart. Hell is empty, and the devils walk the earth. How had she ended up with such a terrifying man? All of a sudden, she desperately wanted to leave this home, leave Nada Mountain. Even if her class background was bad, it was still better than staying here and being tortured to death by Li Changhai. Once her body recovered a little more, she would secretly leave with little sis. Although the house only had Sichuan peppercorns and star anise. As the stew simmered, the aroma of the wild pheasant quickly drifted out, and Su Qinglian's stomach soon began to rumble. Looking at Li Changhai decocting the medicine nearby, Su Qinglian still couldn't help asking, "Brother-in-law, when the chicken is done, can I have a piece of chicken?" "Of course. Your sister should eat more. The two of us can eat a little less." Li Changhai nodded. "She's our top priority protected person right now." Hum. Swallowing the drool that was about to spill out, Su Qinglian's eyes never left the stove. After stewing for a full hour, Li Changhai took 2 drumsticks and a bowl of chicken soup over to Su Qingyue. "Eat while it's hot. There's more if it's not enough." Then he served Su Qinglian 7 or 8 pieces of chicken and a bowl of chicken soup. She was so ravenous that she stuffed it straight into her mouth, even making little protective growling sounds like a cat guarding its food. It's been 2 years, 2 whole years since I've eaten meat. Oh my, why is it so delicious? Eat slowly. There are plenty of good days ahead. After reminding Su Qinglian, Li Changhai finally ate a few pieces of meat himself and drank a little less than half a bowl of soup. There was still nearly half a pot left, enough for the two of them to have another meal tomorrow morning. After helping Su Qingyue drink her medicine, he briskly washed the pots, bowls, and utensils, and figured it must already be past 10 at night. Only then did Li Changhai lie down on the bed. Wife, it's getting late. Go to sleep. Su Qingyue gave a cold reply. I'm sorry, you've suffered these past 2 years. Li Changhai's sudden words gave Su Qingyue a start. The book said that if a person suddenly changes their nature, they must be up to something. She didn't believe a dog could stop eating shit. I know you may not believe it if I just say it, so just watch what I do from now on. Li Changhai said seriously. I'll make sure you and the child eat well and live well, and become the people everyone in all the nearby villages envies the most. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep first. Su Qingyue dropped those words and said nothing more. It was quite hard to change someone's opinion of you, especially when, in Su Qingyue's heart, he was a complete bastard. He could only slowly make her believe in him. Early the next morning, the eldest, Li Changshan, came over with Zhou Wenlan. Li Changshan had a dark expression on his face and kicked Zhou Wenlan in the butt, which made Li Changhai laugh. Big brother, if you're going to beat your wife, do it at home. Did you come all the way here to put on a show? This woman only told me the whole story this morning, and I brought her over here right away. Li Changshan said through gritted teeth. I really never expected that someone this stupid would come out of our Li family. Third brother, sister-in-law was wrong. I only wanted to find Dagu a wife. I was blinded for a moment. Zhou Wenlan hurriedly apologized. Please forgive me, third brother. My wife almost miscarried. Is this something a single apology can settle? Li Changhai questioned coldly. The couple both trembled. They had been married for 5 years without having a child, and because of that they couldn't hold their heads up in the village. The baby in Su Qingyue's belly was the only heir of the old Li family. Yet Zhou Wenlan had nearly caused them to lose it. That was practically violating the Li family's highest taboo. Smack! Li Changshan used almost all his strength to slap Zhou Wenlan across the face, then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her home. You stupid woman, you nearly made our old Li family die without descendants. If I don't beat you to death today, then I'm the son you raised. I didn't know she was pregnant. I was just afraid Dagu would stay a bachelor all his life. I know I was wrong. Please stop hitting me. Zhou Wenlan clutched Li Changshan's hand with both hands and looked at Li Changhai in terror. Third brother, save me. I won't dare do it again. Li Changhai let out a scornful laugh and stood there without moving. All morning long, the village could hear the screams coming from Li Changshan's house. He added some water and stewed the chicken again. After dividing the meat between the two sisters, Li Changhai only drank some chicken soup. When he was done, he looked at the frogs and crayfish and saw they were still alive. So he immediately instructed Su Qinglian, little sister, after you finish eating, clean the frogs and crayfish. At noon, make crayfish for your sister. You're going out again? Su Qinglian muttered. To make money. Li Changhai said with great determination. Your sister's nutrition has to keep up. We can't go on living such a poor life anymore. As he spoke, Li Changhai clipped off 9 ginseng rootlets from the ginseng, planning to add them to the herbal medicine. There was no lamp last night, so he couldn't see clearly, and he was afraid of cutting it badly and making it unsellable. Although the ginseng was no longer whole now, it wasn't a big deal. At worst, it would just fetch a lower price. Could that possibly be more important than his wife's health? After tidying up a bit and tucking the ginseng into his clothes, Li Changhai gave the two of them a few more instructions before setting off. Only after Li Changhai was out of sight did Su Qinglian, while bringing the medicine to Su Qingyue, mutter, Sis, where do you think brother-in-law can go to make money? These days, if you don't honestly work the fields to earn work points, can you even see any cash? Little sister, I want to leave. Su Qingyue suddenly said, Shall we run away? Huh. Su Qinglian looked at her in shock. Sis, what nonsense are you talking about? The nearest commune is more than 10 kilometers from here. In your condition, how are we supposed to get there? What do you think he can do to get money? Su Qingyue gave a miserable smile and said, He has always believed that gambling is the best way to get rich. Over the years, he even gambled away the Li family's heirloom. He must have been set up and cheated. In the end, he'll gamble away the two of us, and even the child in my belly. Su Qinglian's body trembled, and she realized her sister's worry too. Even yesterday morning, When brother-in-law suddenly changed his mind about not selling you, it wasn't because he had found his conscience, but because he planned to sell you more times. That way, not only would he save money, he could also snatch more things. Didn't he snatch a knife and a homemade hunting gun yesterday? But sis, in your current condition, there's no way you can even get out of bed. Su Qinglian bit her lip, her fair little hands constantly twisting the corner of her clothes. Even if we run, we have to wait until you can get out of bed. According to old Lu, I'll be able to get out of bed in 7 days, so we'll leave after 7 days. Su Qingyue made up her mind. For her little sister, and for the unborn child, she had to break free from Li Changhai's clutches, and for that she was willing to pay any price. Nada Mountain Village was about 15 or 16 kilometers from the nearest commune. Although Li Changhai walked quickly, it was already close to noon by the time he reached town. This commune was surrounded by mountains on all sides, with several rivers running through it, known as the Source of Three Rivers. The environment was very tranquil, and there were even some Koreans on the street wearing colorful, loose-fitting clothes, adding a touch of distinctive charm to this town. Li Changhai wandered around for a while and finally stopped in front of a state-private joint pharmacy. Although this wild ginseng had lost 9 whiskers, it was still very complete overall and of excellent quality. He just didn't know whether this pharmacy could afford to buy it. When he walked into the pharmacy, the young clerk merely glanced at Li Changhai before going back to his work. Looking at his own outfit, a coarse cloth garment covered in patches, he looked little better than a beggar. It was already good enough that they hadn't driven him out. Still, Li Changhai was somewhat displeased, and his voice rose several notches. Such a big pharmacy. And there isn't even anyone in charge? Why are you making such a racket? What the hell do you want? The young clerk said impatiently. Can't you read? Didn't you see the sign at the door? This shop does not give credit. Li Changhai stared at the young clerk and sneered without a word. The clerk grew uneasy under his stare, and his anger flared at once. What are you looking at? Looking at you, so what? Coming. At that moment, a short, chubby middle-aged man came jogging out from the back. Urkawe, once someone steps through our door, they're a guest. Why are you yelling? Don't you know to serve tea? Shopkeeper, look at him. Shut up. The middle-aged man glared viciously at the clerk before turning to Li Changhai with a smile and gesturing. Little brother, from the mountains? Li Changhai nodded without speaking. Let's talk somewhere private. A change came over the middle-aged man's expression, and he immediately invited Li Changhai to the back hall, calling out at the same time, Urkawe, bring a cup of the finest Acanthophanax tea. After inviting Li Changhai to sit, the shopkeeper finally asked with a smile, What are you planning to sell? Li Changhai still said nothing, taking out the birch bark and presenting the wild ginseng before him. The shopkeeper had been fairly calm before, but now his eyes went wide. A bowl-shaped rhizome, all 5 forms complete, radiating the spiritual aura of age. This is absolutely a rare and excellent ginseng. But the shopkeeper's delight lasted only an instant before his expression immediately returned to normal. He nodded slightly and said, This ginseng is quite good. It's just a pity that a few whiskers have been cut off. The overall appearance is much worse. What a pity, such a pity. Li Changhai didn't take the bait and asked directly, Name a price. The shopkeeper smiled faintly and held up 2 fingers. Shopkeeper, this is a 50-year-old 4-leaf wild ginseng. Even if I took it to the supply and marketing cooperative, it'd fetch more than this. Li Changhai said with a half-smile, Raise it a bit more. An old hand, are you? The shopkeeper nodded at this and said, Isn't that so? These days collectivization is being promoted, and all medicinal herb trading has to go through the supply and marketing cooperative. I'm taking a risk too by doing this deal with you, brother. Let's be fair, these ginseng rootlets are broken. The supply and marketing cooperative would probably force the price down even harder, or might even reject it outright. That was true enough. If the supply and marketing cooperative could offer a good price, I wouldn't have risked being accused of speculation and profiteering by coming to the herb shop. However, Li Changhai still said seriously, besides 20 10 yuan notes, I also need 10 jin of meat coupons, 10 jin of grain coupons, 20 chi of cloth coupons, and a few sugar coupons, soap coupons, and the like. After speaking, he got up and slowly walked outside. If you can accept that, we'll make the deal. If not, forget it. Hey, since this is our first time working together, I'll give in a little, old brother. Drink your tea and wait here. I'll have the clerk prepare it right away. The shopkeeper waved his hands repeatedly and went out ahead of Li Changhai. In those days, buying things required not only money, but also coupons. There were grain coupons, cloth coupons, sugar coupons, sewing machine coupons, cigarette coupons, meat coupons, soap coupons. There were even manure coupons. For rural people like Li Changhai, grain coupons could only be earned by trading work points, while cloth coupons and meat coupons almost never made it into his hands. So even if he could get money, he still couldn't do much with it. Half an hour later, Li Changhai left happily with a huge sum of money. Only then did the young clerk ask curiously, "Shopkeeper, how did you know he had valuable goods on him?" Judging by the way he was dressed, he didn't look much better than a beggar. The shopkeeper rolled his eyes at the young clerk. The kid had pine needles stuck to him, mud on his pant legs, a bulging chest, and his eyes kept darting toward the medicinal herbs on the counter. And he was loud and rude too. 9 times out of 10, he came from the mountains to sell goods. The shopkeeper shot the young clerk a look. "Have you ever seen someone dressed neat and proper, carrying a cloth bag, come to sell goods?" So there was that much to learn in it. The young clerk suddenly understood. "Good thing you came out in time, or I would have gotten into a fight with him. You haven't been here long. There are plenty of tricks to this business." The shopkeeper beamed. After glancing around and seeing no one nearby, he lowered his voice and said, "Have Chai Jio and the others follow him. Once they get into the mountains, stab him and bring everything back." The young clerk's pupils contracted. "Shopkeeper, that's against the law. That kid's a completely unfamiliar face, definitely his first time coming out to sell goods. Most likely he just got lucky and came across some valuable merchandise. A one-time deal," the shopkeeper said disdainfully. "Besides, for someone coming out of the mountains, running into bandits or wild wolves on the road is common enough. Who can guarantee that nothing will happen in the mountains?" The young clerk nodded as if understanding and not understanding. "If you want to get rich, you not only need a good eye, you also need some methods." Patting the young clerk on the shoulder. "This time you're going to learn from Chai Jio and stop acting like a fool all day, only knowing how to throw your weight around and fight." "Got it, shopkeeper. I'll go right away." The young clerk nodded repeatedly and trotted out. After leaving the herb shop, Li Changhai headed straight for the supply and marketing cooperative. In the 1970s, stores were almost all state-run supply and marketing cooperatives, and basic daily necessities could all be bought there. Li Changhai first bought 2 new sets of clothes based on Su Qingyue's size, then bought 2 bags of white sugar, a bar of soap, 29 jin of white flour, enough to stuff a whole burlap sack full. But when it came time to buy meat, he ran into trouble, mainly because this place was too poor. There were too many mouths and too little meat, and the daily supply of pork was limited. It was basically sold out as soon as it went on sale. You couldn't buy any even with meat coupons. Seeing that the supply and marketing cooperative was closing for lunch, Li Changhai spotted Dong Dishing, the meat seller. And as soon as he came out of the supply and marketing cooperative, he walked up with a grin. "Big brother, off work? You again?" Dong Dishing had just seen Li Changhai in the supply and marketing cooperative and immediately said with a stern face, "Didn't I already tell you? There's no meat. Why can't you understand? Brother, come here. I have something else to tell you." Li Changhai kept winking and gesturing, then walked over to a corner nearby. Dong Dishing was nearly 2 meters tall and must have weighed 300 jin. He wasn't the least bit intimidated by Li Changhai and followed him over at once. "What are you trying to do?" "Brother, here's a 10 jin meat coupon. I only want 8 jin of pork." Li Changhai immediately stuffed the meat coupon into Dong Dishing's hand. "You can use the remaining 2 jin to buy some meat and nourish yourself." "Brother, that's not appropriate, is it?" Dong Dishing narrowed his eyes. "This is profiteering. No, we're brothers. These 2 jin are my gift to you." As Li Changhai spoke, he couldn't help sighing. "Your sister-in-law is pregnant, and she took a fall last night. The physician said she absolutely has to nourish herself well. That's why I rushed over from the mountains early this morning, but I still came too late. If I had any other choice, I wouldn't have resorted to this either. You're an honest man, and you care so much about your wife. What I admire most are men who care about their wives." Dong Dishing sighed. "You don't need to give me extra meat coupons. I can only say that there is still some meat, but not much left. Wait nearby for me. In an hour I'll bring you 5 jin. 3 jin fatty, 2 jin lean. Okay?" Yes, that's more than okay." Li Changhai nodded repeatedly. "Big brother, I don't even know what to say. Such a great kindness cannot be repaid with mere thanks. Why are you being so polite with me? We're bros." Dong Dishing waved his hand and went home for lunch. Li Changhai also went to a restaurant not far away and ordered a bowl of dog meat cold noodles and a rice sausage, and ate with great relish. But he noticed an old man in a leather coat, nearly 80 years old, squatting at the door asking for a bowl of plain boiled water and eating coarse cornbread with it. So he immediately called him over and ordered him a bowl of dog meat cold noodles. "Young man, I don't have any money. That bowl of noodles costs 0.4 yuan. My child would have to earn work points for 2 days to make that much." The old man quickly waved his hands. "This is too valuable. Sir, we must be fated." Li Changhai laughed heartily. It's only a bowl of noodles, not some fine thing. Just eat. Oh my, I've run into a good person. The old man was so moved that tears came down. There's white flour mixed in here. I myself haven't had white flour in a whole year. It's fragrant. Sir, you came all the way to the commune by yourself for what? Changhai had been staring at the bow slung over the old man's back and asked warmly. I've spent my whole life roaming the mountains. I'm old now, and I can't go anymore. The old man sighed. I thought I'd sell this bow, but the supply and marketing cooperative thought it was too old and wouldn't take it. His tone was full of the helplessness and unwillingness of a hero in his twilight years. This bow of yours is pretty good, isn't it just? This bow of mine, the bow stave is made of Cudrania wood, and the bowstring is made of top-grade horsehair. Back when I made this bow, it took a full 3 months of my painstaking effort. The old man stroked the bow, then gave a self-mocking smile. It's a pity they don't know good stuff when they see it. Cudrania wood is hard and highly elastic, known as the best material for making bows. Horsehair has natural elasticity and toughness, making it suitable for bowstrings that need to withstand strong tension. This is a treasure. Sir, give me this bow. Changhai immediately picked up the thread. One great unity, what do you think? In his previous life, Changhai was an archery enthusiast. He started getting into archery at 40, and at 50, he even spent a huge sum to establish an archery club. Not to boast that he could hit whatever he aimed at, but he was at least a master archer who could hit 9 out of 10 shots. He had originally planned to make one himself after returning home, since it would also be convenient to take hunting. But then he came across such a fine bow. This was absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime find. No, this is too much. The old man was startled and quickly waved his hands as he said, something even the supply and marketing cooperative won't take, and you open with one great unity bill. Aren't you being foolish? Since you can appreciate this bow, the two of us truly do have fate. So I'll give it to you, uncle, along with these 20 arrows fitted with arrowheads made from wild boar leg bones. The old man was extremely straightforward, which instead made Changhai feel embarrassed. After all, he had only taken a liking to the bow first and then treated the old man to a meal, yet the man was being so generous. Changhai still forcibly stuffed the money into the old man's hand. Uncle, if you don't accept this money, I'll be afraid this bow won't shoot true. Also, give me your address. If I have any questions about hunting in the future, I can also ask you for advice. Just treat it as consultation fees paid in advance. Oh my. After the meal, Dong Dushing also walked over furtively with an oil paper wrapped package in hand and secretly tossed it into Changhai's burlap sack. Brother, you absolutely mustn't tell anyone about this. If it's discovered, I'll be disciplined. Brother, don't worry, I'm heading back into the mountains right away. Changhai was overjoyed and quickly promised, after a while, when I come again, I'll bring you some mountain goods. With that, he immediately hoisted the sack onto his back and headed home. When he came, he was unburdened and still walked for 4 hours. This time, carrying over 40 jin of it, it would probably be dark by the time he got home. Looks like next time he comes to the commune, he'll have to get a bicycle to ride. This really was a bit too much trouble. What he did not notice was that after he left, 5 people immediately emerged from the shadows and looked in the direction Changhai had gone. The shop assistant couldn't help being a little surprised. The shopkeeper really is uncannily foresight. This kid probably lives very far from here. Otherwise, he wouldn't have bought so many things all at once. Now, all this stuff is ours. A sickly young man said with a grin. Let's be clear first. The meat he bought has to be mine. Our family hasn't had any meat for 5 days. My wife has already started cursing me. Don't worry, the shopkeeper only wants the money. Euphor can just split up the rest of the stuff directly. The shop assistant said with a chuckle. Let's hurry and follow him. Once we get into the mountains, we'll make our move. That little bastard dared to get cocky with the 2 of us at the pharmacy. Later, I'll let him know the price of arrogance. With that, the 5 of them immediately followed from a distance. After walking for more than an hour, they had long since entered the mountains, and the 5 followed Changhai's trail all the way. But when they got near here, it suddenly disappeared. The shop assistant was also completely baffled. That bastard, how did every trace of him vanish? This is damn eerie. The sickly man looked around, picked up the nearby leaves and sniffed them, then pointed out a direction. That kid went through here. But there's no path here. The shop assistant took a few steps forward, looking around as he asked, Brother Gio, could it be that this kid noticed us and ran off? Whoosh. Before he had even finished speaking, the shop assistant felt something fly past one side of him. Immediately afterward, the sickly man let out a muffled grunt and sprang forward on one leg, almost reaching the shop assistant's side, then raised his hunting gun and fired a shot straight ahead. Bang! The gunshot carried far into the distance, sending the surrounding birds scattering in all directions, and even the weeds and trees up ahead were knocked down in a swath. The young attendant's ears rang from the blast, and he nearly passed out. Only then did he notice that the sickly man had actually been struck in the thigh by an arrow. The bow and arrow, a full 80 centimeters long, had such powerful penetration that it had shot straight through his thigh. And only at this moment did the sickly man finally feel the pain, and he couldn't help roaring, "You little bastard, get the hell out here if you've got the guts to fight me one-on-one." Li Changhai, hiding in the shadows, was also startled. He knew it was a good bow, but he hadn't expected it to be this powerful. From a distance of nearly 30 meters, it could still pierce through his thigh. He figured that hunting wild boars and wolves would definitely be no problem. Trading one great unity for self-defense and enough to eat was well worth it. But he didn't rush out. He drew the bow and fired another arrow, this time aiming the arrowhead at the sickly man's other thigh. The sickly man reacted extremely quickly. Almost the instant he saw the arrow, he immediately jumped to the side. But unfortunately, he only had one good leg left, so he was a beat too slow. He barely avoided this arrow, but another came with lightning speed and shot straight through the arm holding the gun. As pain shot through him, the homemade shotgun flew from his grasp. The young attendant reacted quickly and was about to rush over to pick it up when Li Changhai's voice came over. "Nobody fucking move." Li Changhai pulled the bowstring to its fullest and slowly stepped out from the shadows. The sickly man suddenly understood. No wonder he hadn't hit him just now. The kid was more than 30 meters away, just outside the range of the homemade shotgun. And with such accurate archery from 30 meters away, he was no beginner at all, but an expert. He shot the young attendant a vicious glare and thought to himself that they had really been done in today. Slowly raising his hands, the sickly man shouted, "Brother, we take people's money and help them get rid of their troubles. We were only trying to make a living. This time we lost, we admit defeat." Li Changhai didn't respond and suddenly looked at the young attendant. "What are you staring at?" Huh, my ass." Li Changhai kicked the young attendant in the face, making his nose bleed and knocking out one of his front teeth. He lowered his head without saying a word. A vengeful man was too frightening. If he said one more word, he was afraid he'd end up dead here. "Take out the gunpowder and iron pellets," Li Changhai ordered coldly. The sickly man didn't dare say more and immediately took 2 ox horns out of his pocket. "Brother, you're young and your skills are really impressive. Want to work with me in the future?" Li Changhai said nothing. After taking the items, he picked up the long arrows on the ground and kept backing away while facing them, finally disappearing into the mountains. Only then did the sickly man let out a long breath. "That kid's an old hand. He knew all along that we wanted to double-cross him and deliberately lured us here. Then what do we do? Should we find more men?" The young attendant cut in. "No wonder he smacked your mouth. You really do have a fucking foul mouth." The sickly man was furious. "If he wanted to, all 5 of us would have died here. He spared our lives, and you actually plan to repay kindness with enmity?" The young attendant was scolded until tears came to his eyes. "I won't talk anymore. My tooth hurts. Hurry up and make a stretcher to carry me back," the sickly man said impatiently. "Tell your shopkeeper that not a penny of the money he promised us can be missing, and this time he pays the medical expenses too." After walking more than a dozen li, Li Changhai finally stopped and lay down on the sack, gasping for breath. Luckily he had bought this shabao. Otherwise, he really wouldn't have been able to deal with that Chaijiao. Don't let his sickly appearance fool you. A year later, when the college entrance examination was reinstated, he actually got into Shangjing, and riding that momentum, opened a restaurant specializing in hometown specialties, making a fortune. It was only later, when Li Changhai went there for a meal, that he learned the two were from the same hometown. This man was no simple character. If he hadn't happened to catch sight of the young clerk during lunch, he never would have guessed they were planning to kill and rob him. "Looks like I'll have to be more careful from now on." By the time he got home, dusk had already fallen. Su Qinglian was in the yard peeling the skin off the hashima, and when she saw Li Changhai come back, she almost instinctively jumped up and hid off to the side. "Brother-in-law, why you're back? Am I really that scary? Was there a need to move that far away?" Li Changhai was a little helpless. "No, it's just that someone suddenly came in and startled me." Su Qinglian muttered softly, then looked at the bulging sack. "Did you win money gambling?" "Who said I went gambling?" Li Changhai asked back. "No one. It wasn't my sister who said that." Su Qinglian, flustered under his stare, quickly explained. She didn't dare steer the topic toward her sister. If she made her brother-in-law unhappy, he'd beat her again. She was in the middle of recovering, and she couldn't take that kind of torment anymore. This little sister-in-law was just too simple-minded. One casual question, and she sold her sister out. Shaking his head slightly, Li Changhai took out soybean paste, soy sauce, vinegar, and other seasonings. Let's make braised hashima and soy paste tonight. Keep the flavor lighter. Your sister can't eat anything too strong right now. Brother-in-law, you actually won so many things? Were you really lucky today? Su Qinglian covered her little mouth in surprise. I bought them at the commune. What kind of card game has people putting seasonings up as stakes? Li Changhai said with a laugh. Besides these, I bought some other things too, enough for us to eat for quite a while. You can even stake your little sister-in-law, so why can't someone else stake seasonings? Su Qinglian was furiously complaining inwardly, but then she watched as Li Changhai pulled out white flour, pork, white sugar, fresh from his pocket. Looking at the sack, which seemed like a treasure chest, Su Qinglian unconsciously swallowed the drool spilling from her mouth. Brother-in-law, you say you bought all this, but where did you get the money? This is white flour, this is pork. Even the village chief's family could only eat pork during holidays, and white flour was something ordinary people didn't even dare dream about. Even before her parents fell on hard times, they could only eat pork once a month. Judging by the amount, there had to be 3 or 5 gene, right? I got it by selling ginseng. Li Changhai said as he carried the things into the kitchen, not noticing at all that Su Qinglian had already frozen in place. Sold what body? Sold whose body? Immediately, a feeling of terror rose in her heart. Could it really be like her sister said, that he had sold me off again? Even Su Qingyue, lying in bed, couldn't help sitting up. Though her eyes were full of fear, she still summoned the courage to say, "Please spare little sister, she's just a child. If you want to sell someone, sell me instead, as long as you stop targeting little sister from now on." Wife, what nonsense are you talking about? Do you think I traded all this for little sister? Li Changhai felt bitter inside. I heard it all. You said you got it by selling a body. Tears welled in Su Qingyue's eyes as she bit her lip and said, "Besides selling little sister's body, what else could you have sold?" I said I sold ginseng. I meant ginseng. Li Changhai explained, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. I spent all day in the mountains yesterday and finally managed to dig up a wild ginseng root. So I went to the commune and sold it today. If I really planned to sell little sister's body, would they give me this much stuff without even seeing her? I guess that makes sense. Are you telling the truth? Su Qingyue still seemed a little unconvinced. Absolutely true, Li Changhai said as he sat down by the bed and took Su Qingyue's small hand in his, its palm still rough with calluses from farm work. His heart ached involuntarily. Wife, I said I would change, and I definitely will. If I lie to you, may I be struck by lightning. I used to be a bastard. But from now on, you and our child will be the center of my world. As long as you're well, no matter what you ask me to do, I'm willing. Seeing Li Changhai's solemn expression, Su Qingyue didn't dare respond. This man always says one thing and does another. Maybe he just got lucky as hell and dug up some wild ginseng, so he's in a good mood. Once the novelty wears off, he'll go right back to eating, drinking, and gambling. A gambler's words are the least trustworthy. Little sister, bring in the hashima. To give Su Qingyue time to process all this, Li Changhai immediately called out to Su Qinglian, while also taking out a bowl of white flour. I was planning to get back early and make braised pork for you, but I ran into robbers and got back late. So let's just make do with a pot of dough drop soup for now. I'll make the braised pork tomorrow afternoon. As he spoke, Li Changhai rolled up his sleeves and headed into the kitchen to cook. Little sister, give me a hand. All that could be heard was clanging and banging from the kitchen, and soon the aroma drifted into Su Qingyue's nose. When did this person learn to cook? Ever since she married into the family, Li Changhai had never cooked a single meal. The key thing was that he was unbelievably lazy, and now not only had he become hardworking, he even possessed such superb cooking skills. Was Li Changhai still the same Li Changhai? If not for his voice, and the fact that his knowledge of his own past hadn't changed, she would have thought he was like in The Sword and the Eagle, possessed by a soul borrowing another body. Looking at the snowy white dough drop soup, Su Qinglian's tears were almost falling. There was actually minced ginger in the soup. That was the soul of the dish. More importantly, how exactly was this soy-braised hashima made? It was even more fragrant than the soy-braised hashima she had once eaten at a restaurant in the city. Just because of this one dish and one bowl of soup, Su Qinglian's impression of Li Changhai changed a lot. How could a brother-in-law with such excellent cooking skills possibly be a violent man who beat his wife? Was it because losing his parents at a young age had traumatized him and drastically changed his temperament? Even Su Qingyue looked at Li Changhai in surprise. Since when did your cooking become so amazing? Even better than what the chefs in the city make? How could my cooking not be good? In my previous life, when I had just gone to Changhai and was working as a security guard at a hotel, whenever I had free time I'd run to the back kitchen. I spent plenty of time around the cooks. Back then I got along with them, so well it was like we could wear the same pair of pants. If I wanted to eat something, wouldn't I have to cook it myself? Over time, My cooking skills naturally improved. But of course he couldn't say that right now, so he could only scratch his head and say with a chuckle, maybe it's because I've had an awakening, and now I know how to do everything. Very soon, the family of 3 finished off a pot of hashima and a pot of dough drop soup. Su Qinglian drank 2 big bowls of the dough drop soup alone and was finally full, the kind of full in the truest sense. Unlike corn mush, which feels filling at first but leaves you hungry again after an hour or two. Only Su Qingyue, because she couldn't eat too much and still had to take medicine later, ate just 1 bowl. Afraid she wouldn't be full, Li Changhai deliberately ladled mostly dough pieces for her, with very little soup. Clutching his stomach, Li Changhai couldn't help letting out a long breath. They had always lived a poor life without enough food or warm clothes. Now that he had suddenly eaten his fill, it all felt a little unreal. Wife, little sister. Today is the beginning of our family's new life. I can promise you that from now on, our days will only get better and better, until we become the wealthiest people in the whole village, in all the surrounding villages, the entire commune, and even the whole county. I only hope we won't go hungry. Lying on the bed, Su Qingyue turned her head to look at the moon among the branches. She couldn't help but feel a bit hopeful about the future. No worries about food and warmth, family safe and healthy, and a peaceful, happy life. Having food to eat, clothes to wear, and not being sold off would be better than anything else. Su Qinglian also echoed repeatedly. Speaking of this, I really did buy you 2 some clothes. Li Changhai snapped his fingers and immediately took out the 2 sets of clothes. Looking at one of the outfits, Su Qinglian couldn't help saying in surprise, my God, this is actually a Dacron-lined jacket and pants. Brother-in-law, isn't this too extravagant? Your sister is so pretty, she can't just wear coarse cloth with patches. Li Changhai said with a smile, I bought them according to your measurements, though I don't know whether they'll look good or fit well. Can I try them on? Her eyes had been fixed on the clothes without blinking, and Su Qinglian was practically drooling with envy. Sure, your figure isn't that different from your sister's anyway. As soon as Li Changhai nodded, Su Qinglian grabbed the clothes and ran back to her room. Very soon, Su Qinglian came out changed. Brother-in-law, do I look good? By the light of the kerosene lamp, one could see an exceptionally beautiful girl standing there gracefully, looking just like a pure and lovely girl next door. They really do say clothes make the man and saddle make the horse. The ancients truly did not deceive me. Li Changhai was already impatient to have Su Qingyue try it on too, but unfortunately his wife wasn't in a very convenient state right now, so it could only wait a few days. It really is quite nice, and it fits well too. Li Changhai nodded in great appreciation. I might look too thin wearing it. It fits little sister just right, so why not give it to her instead? Su Qingyue saw the longing on her little sister's face, so she could only muster her courage to ask. Li Changhai immediately turned to look at Su Qingyue. That single movement made Su Qingyue's heart leap into her throat in fright. This man had always been someone whose word was law. Now that she had gone against him, was he going to hit her again? Brother Changhai, we're here. Just then, the sound of banging on the door suddenly came from outside. Are you ready? That one sentence scared a few drops of urine out of Su Qinglian. What did I say? What did I say? Why did he make me wear such nice clothes? He really is planning to make me sell myself. It's Big Donkey and Erlungzi. Li Changhai immediately stood up. Brother-in-law. Are you making me sell myself? Su Qinglian forced herself not to let tears fall. I'm still a virgin girl. You can't treat me like this. Did they give you all this food and clothing? Su Qingyue also asked with her body tense. Are you planning to exchange this little bit of stuff for my little sister's chastity? What are you talking about? They're probably just here to ask me to play cards. Aren't you getting carried away? Li Changhai was almost helpless. How does everything get twisted into selling oneself? I'll send them away. After saying that, Li Changhai immediately opened the courtyard gate. There stood Erlungzi and Big Donkey, each carrying a bottle of liquor, saying with a grin, Changhai, this is Xiao Daozi I got from my second uncle's house next door. How about we drink and play cards tonight? I'm not playing cards anymore. I've quit. Li Changhai said with a long face. Haha, look at that face of yours, hanging even longer than Big Donkey's. Erlungzi said with a hearty laugh. Just because we didn't call you to play cards last night, you're holding a grudge? Last night we went over to my eldest uncle's place, and the game didn't come together. Otherwise, how could we forget a good big brother like you? Don't you understand? Li Changhai said unhappily. My wife doesn't like me playing cards, so don't come looking for me anymore. Oh my, sister-in-law must have served you so well that you don't even like leaving the house anymore. Big Donkey rubbed his hands excitedly and asked with waggling brows. What's it feel like doing that, huh? When will us brothers get to? Bang. Before he could finish, Li Changhai kicked him flying more than 3 meters away. The pain made him drop to both knees and clutch his stomach, and the shaozi in his hand spilled all over the ground. I already warned you yesterday, don't make dirty jokes about my family. You want me to rip your tongue out before you'll stop? No. Seeing that Li Changhai was really angry, both of them were scared stiff and hurriedly explained, fine, if we're not playing, then we're not playing. It's really not that interesting anyway. We won't play anymore either. Without bothering with the two of them again, Li Changhai directly shut the courtyard gate. Inside the house, the sisters' hearts were in their throats. Sis, brother-in-law really won't give me away, right? I'm so scared. Su Qingwei didn't reply. She couldn't guarantee it either. Li Changhai's temperament was fickle and unpredictable. One second, he could be kneeling and apologizing to you, and the next second, he could jump up and hit someone. He still hasn't come back after all this time. He must be having a great chat with those two. I was really too naive to actually start looking forward to the future. Following this man, how could there possibly be any future? Better to come to my senses and run as soon as possible. Just as she was thinking this, Li Changhai came back. Su Qingwei was a little surprised. You didn't go play cards? I promised you that I wouldn't go play cards anymore. So how could I go back on my word? Li Changhai sat down by the bed and pulled Su Qingwei into his arms. The future I look forward to is a warm wife, children, and a heated Kong. Not squandering my life at the card table. In this conservative era, even though it was only a not too intimate gesture, it still made Su Qingwei blush. She secretly glanced at Su Qinglian beside them and struggled as she said, "What are you doing? Little sister is still here. I'm sleepy, I'm going to sleep." Su Qinglian blushed even harder. And after throwing out those words, she ran back to the next room and buried her head under the quilt, only feeling her heart pounding wildly. How could brother-in-law act like that with my sister right in front of me? So embarrassing. She's my wife, on my bed. I can do whatever I want. Li Changhai was overbearingly domineering, but he still didn't forget to finish brewing the medicine and let Su Qingwei drink it before sleeping. That night, Li Changhai pressed tightly against Su Qingwei from behind. All through the night, his sleep-talking was full of apology and longing for Su Qingwei. "Qingwei, my wife, I love you to death. I can't live without you. Don't leave me. Wife, do you know how much I miss you? You're my only weakness. I will definitely treat you well, and I will protect you. You can make me do anything. I'll listen to you in everything." Listening silently to these words of love, Su Qingwei was a little dumbfounded. Sleep talk usually doesn't lie. It's all spoken from the body's subconscious. But how could someone who beat and cursed her every day suddenly start treating her well? Was it because last night he saw that she was going to hang herself? And this was just a temporary expedient for the sake of the Li family's only flesh and blood? After the child is born, will he go back to beating and cursing her like before? In her days, Su Qingwei also fell asleep. That night, Su Qingwei slept very soundly, unlike before, when she was always jolted awake in fear. At the first faint light of dawn, Su Qingwei turned over absent-mindedly, then was startled awake at once. She remembered that in the past, if she disturbed Li Changhai while sleeping, he'd get up and punch and kick her. Would this time make him angry too? The space beside her was empty. Where was he? Only then did she hear clattering sounds coming from the kitchen, followed by the sound of food being stir-fried. It smelled so good. Even Su Qinglian was dazed by the fragrance. Rubbing her eyes, she went into the kitchen wearing only a thin outer layer. "Brother-in-law, what are you doing? It smells so good. I made hand-rolled noodles, shredded pork noodles." While Li Changhai was talking, he had already put the noodles into the pot, where oil droplets floated on top, and it was full of fatty meat, making Su Qingwei and Su Qinglian so tempted they almost started drooling again. As he turned around, Li Changhai accidentally bumped into Su Qinglian. Back in those days, bras still weren't common, and the key was that they were too poor. Having clothes to wear at all was already good enough. Who would add another layer underneath? So, it was very big and very soft. Su Qinglian immediately took a few steps back, instantly sobering up, her little face turning visibly red. "You child, it's so cold out. Don't you know to put on more clothes?" Li Changhai was thick-skinned enough to act like nothing had happened and broke the awkward silence. "Hurry and get properly dressed, wash your face, and eat." Oh. Su Qinglian nodded belatedly, then turned and trotted out of the kitchen. Very soon, a steaming bowl of shredded pork noodles was set in front of Su Qingwei. A smile rippled across Su Qinglian's face. "Sis, hurry up and eat. It smells amazing. Have you eaten your fill?" Seeing Su Qinglian's little mouth glistening with oil, Su Qingwei also smiled. I ate a big bowl. Brother-in-law is really amazing." Su Qinglian nodded repeatedly, then lowered her voice and said, "Sis, brother-in-law may really have changed for the better. It's hard to say for sure." If a few full meals could erase fear and resentment, then the world would have been at peace long ago. Su Qinghua said nothing and just focused on eating. In a bit, I'll take the money over to old Lu, and then I'll head into the mountains. Li Changhai said from the side, I probably won't be back until dusk again. Then you really have to be careful, brother-in-law. The weather is getting colder day by day, and wolves and black bears that can't find food may come out of the deep mountains. Su Qinglian immediately added, I got to know an old hunter, and if there are any problems related to hunting, he can basically give some advice on how to solve them. Li Changhai nodded. Also, for the time being, you shouldn't go work in the fields to earn work points either. I'll let the village chief know. All right, then I'll stay home and take care of my sister. Bang bang bang. As they were talking, someone knocked at the door again. It was eldest brother Li Changshan. This time Li Changshan came alone, carrying 2 tails of meat in his hand, and a jean of bean flour, which made Li Changhai feel somewhat disgusted. Big brother, are you also here to play matchmaker? Matchmaker for what? I'm here to apologize to your wife and younger sibling's wife on behalf of your sister-in-law. Li Changshan said with a bitter smile, that crazy woman. I beat her so badly yesterday that she couldn't get out of bed. She dared make our old Li family cut off its descendants. I was even planning to divorce her. This was brought by her nephew as a bride price, and now it's being used as an apology gift. Take it and let your wife build up her health. Big brother, not to be rude, but if my sister-in-law has too much idle time, she might as well go earn a few more work points with the production team. Why meddle in other people's business? Li Changhai said bluntly, if she weren't my sister-in-law, I'd have crippled her long ago. Don't worry. Once that woman recovers, I'll have her come serve your wife. Li Changshan kept nodding. No matter what, the child in your wife's belly must be born safely and healthy. From now on, I'll earn your wife's work points for her. No need. I'll speak to the village chief and have her stop earning work points for now. We don't lack that little bit of work points. Li Changhai waved his hands repeatedly. Also, take the stuff back. I have meat at home. Won it back last night. Li Changshan asked suspiciously. In gambling, 9 times out of 10 there's cheating. Did the other side botch it while trying to cheat? I dug up some mountain goods and sold them at the commune yesterday and traded them for this. Li Changhai had no intention of telling Li Changshan about digging up ginseng. Big brother was different from him. Li Changshan was honest, bad at socializing, and if he let it slip to someone by accident, there was even a possibility of being sentenced. This matter was limited to the 3 of them knowing. How much money could that make? Earning work points is still more solid and stable. Li Changshan didn't quite approve of Li Changhai's approach. As he spoke, he took out a hand-rolled tobacco cigarette, intending to have a smoke. But after glancing at Su Qinghua, he quietly put it away. Our production team is getting ready to clear wasteland. Are you going with little sister? No, let's talk about that later. After chatting for a bit, Li Changshan went back. Li Changhai also took a 10 yuan note and went to old Lu's house. The family was just about to head to the team for work, and they were badly startled to see Li Changhai. Old Lu's daughter-in-law hurriedly said as well, brotherly, my father-in-law already gave you all the medicinal herbs he had. At his age, he can't go up the mountain to gather herbs anymore. Why don't you try the commune? It's a misunderstanding. I'm not here looking for medicine. Li Changhai laughed and said, Uncle Lu has already prepared all the medicine. I'm here to bring Uncle Lu some money. You? Several of them looked Li Changhai up and down in astonishment. Bring money? They thought to themselves, a man who could even sell off his sister-in-law can actually come to give money? The sun isn't rising in the west, is it? Who is it? Hearing the commotion, old Lu also came out. And when he saw Li Changhai, he immediately asked warmly, oh, it's Changhai. Your wife is all right now, isn't she? Thanks to your superb medical skills, she's already out of danger. As he spoke, Li Changhai took out a 10 yuan note. Uncle Lu, I don't know if this is enough, so I just brought this much. If it's not enough, I'll bring you more. A 10 yuan note. Several people were stunned. Their whole family had to work themselves to the bone in the team for a whole day just to earn 1 yuan. It was their first time seeing a bill of such a large denomination. How could this kid, who loafs around eating and drinking all day, possibly come up with such a large denomination bill? It wasn't stolen, was it? I dug up some mountain goods in the mountains and exchanged them for some money at the commune yesterday. Afraid of being misunderstood, Li Changhai immediately explained, you are my wife's lifesaver. I can owe anyone money, but I can't owe you, can I? You child, then I'll accept it. Old Lu smiled and patted Li Changhai on the shoulder. Come, I just brewed a pot of golden grass tea. Let's have a drink together. Oh my, this golden grass is said to make the elder brother drink and the sister-in-law smile. It's commonly known as howling and yelping. Uncle, you really do drink good stuff. No. While it's still early in the morning, I'll head into the mountains again and take a look. Li Changhai waved his hand and left with the sack. Even though it was only October, the temperature in the mountains in the morning was only around 3 to 5 degrees. Changhai also felt a bit of chill, but as the sun rose, after walking for a long time, he was already sweating by now. This time he chose another route, one that was relatively rugged. Back then, this wild mountain ginseng had been the last one he discovered, about 30 years old, but because it was the closest to the village, he had chosen it first. The process was the same as last time. After clearing away the surrounding weeds, Changhai got to work with great enthusiasm. Although this wild mountain ginseng had only grown for 30 years, according to his memory, it had even more rootlets than the 50-year-old one from last time, and they were even denser. To dig it out intact would definitely be a huge job. He could only work carefully and patiently. After more than an hour, he had only dug out 1/5 of it. Seeing that it was nearly noon, Changhai took out a flatbread made from a mixture of bean flour and white flour and started eating. He also gulped down all the water in his canteen before finally letting out a full belch. Keep digging. After another more than 2 hours, Changhai was feeling a bit restless. On top of that, his mouth was dry and parched, so he paused his work and went to a nearby river to get some water to drink. The buzzing sound that reached his ears made Changhai shudder involuntarily, and he happily spotted a few black bees by the water. Water-collecting bees. You should know that at this season, there is no shortage of water, and it should be around 2 p.m. now. Being able to run into water-collecting bees at this time means his luck is truly off the charts. Water-collecting bees generally gather water very close to their hive, and judging from the returning bees, they weren't flying very high, only about 3 meters up, which meant their hive should be within 300 meters of this place. Wasn't this basically a jackpot? If he still didn't act now, wouldn't that make him an idiot? Seeing one water-collecting bee leave in a certain direction after collecting water, Changhai immediately jogged after it. He went over a small slope, even tripped and scraped his arm, and still lost the bee. Seeing that no other water-collecting bees were coming back, Changhai had no choice but to search around nearby. As luck would have it, after searching for a full 10+ minutes, he finally found some yellowish-brown little pellets, one end larger and one end smaller. They were bee droppings. These little things are especially hygienic. They even fly outside the hive to poop, and the larger end points in the direction of the hive. Changhai immediately followed the direction indicated by the droppings and kept moving forward. Luckily, another water-collecting bee showed up just then, and Changhai finally found the hive. It was hidden inside a tree hollow, extremely well concealed, and the honey visible to the naked eye was simply mouth-watering. Wasn't this just a natural nutritional supplement? And his wife was in the early stage of pregnancy, exactly when she needed extra nutrition. If eaten slowly, this honey would be enough for 2 or 3 months. It's just that he didn't have the right tools with him at the moment, so he could only worry helplessly. Forget it. He already knew where the hive was. He could just come back tomorrow with handy tools to collect it. The top priority right now was to hurry up and dig out the ginseng. After looking around, Changhai returned to the wild mountain ginseng by following the route he came on. Keep digging. In less than an hour, the intact wild mountain ginseng was finally dug out, and its appearance was even better than that 50-year-old one, so it should fetch a good price. As usual, he packed it up, then took out his bow and arrows, planning to try his luck. In case he ran into a pheasant again, then today's chicken soup for his wife would be settled. Following the path he came on, Changhai deliberately took a detour, hoping to find traces of pheasants as they returned to their roosts. But unfortunately, there were no signs of wild pheasants in the place he had chosen today. And as the sun was about to set and the temperature began to drop, Changhai had no choice but to hurry back. No chicken soup today. He could only have braised pork instead. But just as he was about to walk out of the mountains, Changhai suddenly heard a faint yu sound, very much like the call of a deer. Changhai thought for a moment, then immediately followed the sound. It wasn't far, just a little over 100 meters. Pushing aside the grass, he saw 2 sika deer preparing to mate. The stag was tall and mighty, with a pair of antlers that were long and sharp. No wonder he'd heard the sound of something hitting a tree just now. He'd thought it was some nearby villager chopping wood. But after all that, it turned out this guy was using the sound of ramming trees to attract the doe to mate. It's starting. They're about to mount. Changhai immediately drew his bow to full tension, preparing to make his move on the stag only after the doe became an expectant mother. Sorry, little doe, your child can live without a father, but my wife has to eat meat. But what Changhai never expected was that the stag only needed one thrust, bullseye in one shot, and it was over in a second. Then it seemed to collapse to the ground from exhaustion. That fast. It was his first time seeing sika deer mating, and he was completely dumbfounded. Seeing the stag get back up, Li Changhai had no mind left for wild thoughts. The aimed arrow shot out immediately, hitting the stag right in the neck. Startled, the doe bolted at once. The stag could never have imagined that right after landing a one-shot hit himself, he would be one-shot by someone else. It sprang up and ran toward one direction, but after less than a dozen meters it collapsed to the ground, struggling and unable to get back up. Li Changhai walked toward the stag at an unhurried pace. And just to be safe, he put another arrow into its heart. At this time, bucks are at their most ill-tempered, and for the sake of mating rights they grind their antlers unusually sharp. If it really rammed into someone, it would definitely punch a hole right through them. Only after making sure the stag was truly dead did Li Changhai jog over. This guy was a full 1.5 meters long. Its antlers were yellowish-brown, each one split into 4 tines, over 60 centimeters long, with grayish-white tips, sharp as could be. Overall, they were simply an exquisitely beautiful work of art. However, Li Changhai hefted it. This damn thing weighed 200 jin. If he carried it back, he'd be exhausted to death halfway there. After looking around, Li Changhai made use of local materials, found several arm-thick branches, and used vines to weave together a sled. After dragging the sick deer onto the sled, he pulled it toward home. Not bad, quite a fruitful haul. Seeing that it was already dark and Li Changhai still had not returned, Su Qinglian glanced in the direction of the mountains from the doorway, then came back and asked worriedly, "Sis, brother-in-law won't be in any danger, will he? What danger could a grown man possibly be in?" Su Qinghua said irritably, "If something really happened to him, that'd be perfect. We'd be free. But with just the 2 of us women and a child to raise in the future, how hard would life be?" Su Qinglian said conflictedly, "At least if we stay with brother-in-law, we can eat our fill. Once the novelty wears off for him someday, who knows, he might start hitting people again." Su Qinghua curled her lip. "That man's temper is unpredictable. You know that too." "That's true." Su Qinglian sat on the chair, propping her chin on one hand and staring at the courtyard gate, both hoping her brother-in-law would come back and wishing he would just die outside. This contradictory feeling left her unable to sit still. Only when it was completely dark and Su Qinglian was about to cook for her sister did she hear noise outside. Then the courtyard gate opened, and Li Changhai came in dragging the sled. "Brother-in-law, did you save someone and bring them back?" Su Qinglian immediately went up to him, and only after seeing clearly did she cry out in surprise, "Wow, what a huge sick deer. I ran into this sick deer on the way, otherwise I could have been back 2 hours earlier." Li Changhai wiped the sweat from his forehead. "I'm going to make braised pork first. Little sister, boil a pot of hot water. I have to skin the deer tonight, or it'll be troublesome tomorrow." Su Qinglian nodded repeatedly and immediately trotted off to boil water. Li Changhai, meanwhile, started making the braised pork. Taking out 2 jin of pork, 1 jin lean and 1 jin fatty, Li Changhai first slowly rendered the fat over low heat in the pot, gradually drawing out the lard. This way, the braised pork wouldn't be so greasy, and it would taste better, too. Moreover, the rendered pork scraps could be saved and used when stir-frying dishes. Next, he began stir-frying the lean meat. And after adding scallions and ginger and stir-frying a few times, he poured in boiling water. At this point, he added star anise, fennel, and soy sauce, then let it stew for an hour before adding salt. Because he was in a hurry to skin the sick deer, Li Changhai didn't bother caramelizing sugar for color. After all, in the pitch dark, there was no need to pursue the visual appeal of the braised pork. It took a full hour and more before Li Changhai, by the light of a kerosene lamp, managed to skin the deer completely. By now, the sick deer had already grown its winter coat for keeping out the cold, dense and thick, with the white spots almost impossible to see. This could be used to make a cotton-padded jacket for his wife, and the warmth would definitely be excellent. Then he cut open the sick deer, cleaned it thoroughly, divided it into several portions, and the braised pork was finally done as well. The aroma had long since spread throughout the entire courtyard, making Su Qinglian run into the kitchen more than a dozen times. It wasn't until it was served on the table, and she picked up a piece and stuffed it into her mouth, that her drool finally started flowing. "Brother-in-law, what you made smells amazing," Su Qinglian mumbled indistinctly while eating. The fatty meat melted in the mouth, and the lean meat was tender and full of flavor. "Oh my, this is the 70s, the 70s. Just imagine eating a hearty meal of braised pork in the 70s. Can you even handle it?" Anyway, with the flatbread made from bean flour mixed with white flour, even Su Qinghua ate to her heart's content. In less than 20 minutes, the 3 of them polished off 2 jin of braised pork and 10 flatbreads. So full. Bang bang bang. Su Qinglian had just gotten up and gone into the courtyard, planning to walk around and digest her meal, when pounding on the door rang out, along with a middle-aged man's rough voice. "Open up. Hand over our wife right now." So frightened that Su Qinglian dashed back into the room and said in terror, "Brother-in-law, it's those two people from the day before yesterday. They're here to capture me, aren't they? Looks like they brought helpers." Li Changhai nodded. Choosing to come at this hour, in the pitch dark, they were probably looking to get someone killed.